Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of your favorite book club, Books and Beyond, and ours, of course. I'm Thinka, your host. It feels like we just saw each other. I think 2 weeks ago we had another great of these webinars with Bill Dow. So whoever didn't get the chance to see that one live, go ahead and check our YouTube channel, and you'll find the recording there, as well as every other webinar that we had. This is number 18, so it's been a year and a half. We're soon going to toast for 2 years into this project, which is really due to our great audience and our great guests coming here. Today we have a great guest sitting with us here, Obi Omorege. He is currently in the United Emirates, and he will have a lot of great things to share with us about mastering solution delivery, and also very interesting book challenge that basically brought him and I to connect, which some of you or most of you already know about, because it was really it made a lot of waves on LinkedIn and all social media. I think Obi, I don't know. I don't know if there's a time when I open LinkedIn and I don't see a post about the book and the book challenge, and you're visible everywhere. You're going to all of these events, and that's really awesome, I think. So we're really happy to have you today, and looking forward to the discussion. Um, I don't want to take it away from you. If you want to say a few words about yourself and what brought you here, and then we can go deep dive into your project.
No, absolutely. And thank you very much for having me, Ilinka. It's a privilege to be on episode 18, and that's indeed a journey of several chapters. And if you look into the chapters of my life, you're talking about a book club leading to my current chapter and the buzz around mastering solution delivery. One thing has been consistent throughout my journey for over a decade has been being in the center of solution provision. If I'm trying to summarize who Obi is, I think about being at the center of social impact initiatives, being at the center of technological innovations, being at the center of volunteering activities. I've just been someone who really has enjoyed the art of problem solving, the art of standing in the gap. And, fast forward to today, currently in the industry, in nuclear energy, working in the UAE, far from where I call home. I'm at the center of ensuring that we can generate peaceful energy for the country. So that's Obi Omorige in a snapshot. Of course, aside from problem solving, when I can, I am super engaged in sporting activities, and maybe we can at some point talk about those aspects of my life. But that's Obi really. I'm a project guy, and I love the whole idea of problem solving.
And a travel junkie, if I were to if I were to click on your website.
No, no, absolutely, and that's true. And it, I think traveling is, you think about a book club and you think about the chapters of a book, and there's just so much about the world around us, and that's what traveling does. It just exposes you to different cultures, just different mindsets. It's amazing how just across borders you could literally find people and individuals with a totally different way of life. And I embrace traveling. I travel when I can, and the beauty about being in this part of the world is that I can easily connect to different other areas. So yeah, big time travel junkie, that's for sure.
That must have been difficult for all those travel junkies out there during COVID, I assume. Um,
Yeah, and I think at this point during COVID is when you hold on to the memories,
yeah,
and the longing, the longing of the opportunity to venture out again. And I think that's if you notice when the restrictions were lifted, you could just see the aggressive nature in which people did not care about the cost to travel because the prices escalated, right? I mean, it was super expensive to travel, but people were traveling in mass, we're like, let's get out of here, let's move, who knows when the next lockdown is going to happen. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm assuming that this is going back to your project. You pretty much wanted to, I guess, capture some of those difficulties or maybe changes in the lifestyle and actually the professional style of people all around the world during the pandemic, right? Your challenge was pretty much, let's see how people who have a skill set in solution delivery, like project managers or maybe other thought leaders, um, are able to adapt to the new circumstances, to the world that doesn't look like before.
No, no, yeah,
So
no, yeah, spot on. If there's one thing that we all experienced during the pandemic, and that's why it was called a pandemic, is that because we were all locked down. I mean, majority. Yes, there were some parts of the world that did not have the same severity of the lockdown. But what I wanted to explore, and if you think about the breadth in terms of contribution to the book, was to see the different perspectives. When I started the journey, I had a mindset as regards what I thought I was going to encounter, what I thought the experience was, what I thought the lessons were. And then when I started going through the journey of putting together the book, uh, listening to people in projects in Hungary or versus in Cameroon or in um, the United States or in England, and you realize that, my goodness, all across the world, we did experience this, but we have such unique experiences and unique stories. And that's what I wanted to capture, not just have a single story or a single mindset about what the difficulties and the lessons were when it comes to getting things done, but to hear from other experiences and other people and, just capture that and share that with the rest of the world.
yeah, and you did that in a very, very short time. I mean, I hear from our other authors, books can take years to write, and you guys just did it in what, 1 month?
No, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's the crazy part, and I think it speaks to the fact that we can achieve so much. I mean, till and it's incredible because since the book has been published, I've spoken to several people who are like, "How did you put that together?" Because it's not just about putting a book together, but putting together quality and a quality product. And from the feedback received, I am proud of the journey that we embarked on, because it lets you know that yes, it is possible. And who knows? Just today, this morning actually, I reposted a challenge that someone has kicked off. It's an August challenge. He's gonna finish a book by the end of this month on it's on communication. So in achieving that has given people also permission for their light to shine. There's a very interesting, reminds me of a very famous um, poem about our deepest fears. And it ends with the fact that as you let your light shine, as you achieve things, somehow you give people permission to do the same. And I've started seeing books and people publishing books here and there in short time frames, or maybe not in short time frames, but people letting the books in them come out. And it's great to see that.
So are you doing this as an ongoing project now, launching book challenges once every month?
No, no. Listen, it came with sacrifice, and
Sure.
we started the conversation about traveling, and a huge chunk of that 30-day period, I was on a family vacation because the book was put together during a period of, I call it a period of separation. I'm here in Dubai in the UAE, and the Ramadan period is when is a period of fasting, is a period of meditation, is a period of reflection, and creating this book was my reflection, was my meditation. but it was also happening during vacation. At some point, I was in the southern part of Africa for 2 weeks, and I had to sacrifice part of the vacation to focus on editing and reviewing the book. So it's not something I would subscribe to do frequently. I have no intention on doing that again. Um, but it's a journey I enjoyed. Let me put it that way. I have another book coming up at some point next year, but that has been a 1 year project. And I don't think the duration of the effort necessarily determines the quality of the outcome. This journey, putting together a compendium, I could say was fast tracked because I had the support of different collaborators, and I'm sure we're going to talk about them. And then the other project I'm working on, which is going to take over a year, it's more of an in-depth research-based project. But yeah, no short-term challenges anytime soon from this end. Yeah.
So how did it all start? And why I guess why the 30-day? Was it just a challenge, or did you have a reason for setting the 30-day mark?
No, good question. Why the challenge? There's a quote I stumbled on. I think I shared that with you earlier on, but let me just share with the audience. I saw the quote on the internet that everyone has a book. So every individual out there has a book in them, and for so many individuals, that's where the book should stay. You should just keep the book in you. Nobody needs to hear that. So why did this book come out? First of all, is the fact that I knew it could be done because I had seen somebody do a similar challenge before. Peter Taylor is a well-known thought leader in the project management community. And when the pandemic happened, he launched a similar challenge. I think it took less number of days, and it was the project less managers. So the pandemic had happened, and we were in the heat of the pandemic. People had lost their jobs. People were asked to work from home. And in that period, he's like, hey, guys, share with me your experiences. Let me know how you're adapting and adjusting to the pandemic. Now, I didn't participate in that exercise, but members of my team participated. So I knew it was possible. And I had always had the thoughts to say, well, there has to be a reflection on that exercise. So there was one book that talked about the pandemic experience, the shock of the pandemic, and how are you responding to that? But then what about the sequel? What about the lessons of the pandemic? What about how are we now adjusting to the new norm? So the opportunity had always been in my head to say, when will this be done? And then when I had that period of time during the break to say, you know what, I have an upcoming 30 days. How do I maximize this 30-day period? I felt that it was the best opportunity to get that done. And that's why that was done in that period of time. And interestingly, Peter Taylor wrote the foreword to this book. And I think he's quite proud because it shows the continuation of what he had started. And who knows what's going to happen after mastering solution delivery? Who knows? We can only wait and see.
Yeah. No, that's good. You captured somehow. You had the experience, but also you captured an area that was not discussed. So I guess this is also the reason why you probably got a lot of applications for this project. And how did that go? Did you just launch it? I don't know, LinkedIn or just via email? Call people? How did it happen? Because you have people from all over the world. I mean, you have Hungary, you have Canada a lot, you have I don't know, Africa. I think there's a lot from there, United States.
Correct. It's just incredible. Within the book, I share a curve of responses. How responses trickled in at the beginning, and at some point when I was about to lose hope that this could be, it just flooded in from all parts of the world. The LinkedIn was the primary avenue, and it was a really focused approach, engaging people in specific domains. I looked out for professionals who were either playing project roles, program management roles, PMO roles, because I wanted them to be at the center of delivering solutions, products whatsoever. I got help as well. So as I mentioned before, I volunteer massively. So I'm also a volunteer in the project management chapter in Nigeria, here in the UAE. So of course, those communities broadcasted within their networks. And PM World Journal, David, the editor, he also gave a breaking news headline, on PM World Journal. He also helped share the message. So different avenues were utilized in spreading the news. Even projectmanagement.com, PMI, I put an article out there to my contacts on that network. It's interesting because over 200 professionals were contacted. We narrowed down on 30. So I'll talk about the process later on. I didn't accept every single article. I had to reject a few because of my selection criteria. But all those platforms were useful in reaching out to different professionals to say, hey, let's get on board. And we had 5 continents, 15 countries, with responses from all around the world. It was just a beautiful, beautiful journey.
No, it's really impressive, and I think it's I see other people starting to want to do it. I hear a lot about professionals in the field wanting to do book challenges, and I think there's a lot of inspiration there from seeing what you did, what Peter Taylor did, and what other book challenges. Also, I think it's a matter of, and you probably saw this, people just wanting to, less people want to just write their own book. I think it's easier when you kind of combine and it's more of a teamwork type of project. I think it's easier to digest. It's easier, especially if you haven't written a book. For some, it might feel overwhelming, but if you are to kind of jump in and add a little chapter and share something, I'm not sure what is your experience in that. Did you see that kind of?
Well, I'll say too many hands spoil the broth, in the sense that it was easier for myself, it was easier for Peter to execute this in a short time frame because decision making was centered around me. So when you have people coming together to launch this, you need to decide way ahead of time is how do we narrow down on what gets into the book? What is our selection criteria? I had that, but of course I was the judge, the jury, the filter. And I think the more you have more people trying to launch this, you may have that challenge. For me, it was easy to filter what I wanted because I had a vision. And at some point, when I started analyzing the entries, if they were not in alignment with the vision, it was easy to respond to the individuals and say no. They also had to be a means to form that community. So I had 30 people who were part of this, and I had debrief sessions with those individuals. I had actually 2 debrief sessions. It may not be compulsory, but I managed this as an actual project to say, you have been selected. This is the journey your articles will go through. And of course, there was also a reward mechanism. The major reason why LinkedIn was flooded with the publications is because you had 30 happy people, 30 people who were proud to be part of the whole journey. And as such, they were so excited about sharing, saying, listen, this is the output of that experience. And I think it was easy to achieve that in such a short time frame because it went through me. If you had to go through myself and partners and other people, there's a risk, and I'm not saying it's not possible, but there's a risk that you're going to have delays and hurdles. So it's something to watch out for. It is not an easy process. I need to be crystal clear here. It takes hours and hours of reviewing. It wasn't just a copy and paste in a book. Every single article that came in had to be refined to a cohesive thought, because the entire book sounds like it's one flow. It's not different ideas just here and there, in different points. It's one entire flow, one entire book. And that requires having a centered vision for the book. So, just something for individuals who are planning to do this to pay attention to.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But let's not make it sound like it's too difficult.
Well, I don't want to make it sound like it's too easy as well, So it's a journey that you're going to embark on with respect for the process. Otherwise, you may not achieve the outcome that you want, sincerely speaking.
No, and it has really nice. I took a peek in the book. I like how, you say it really sounds like the tone is one single tone, and I like the transitions that you did between chapters when you're, kind of introducing the next person that is going to talk about this, and the way you do it, it's really, I don't know. I just find it it's very casual. I think it's a good read. It's an easy read. Um,
No,
and yeah, and I'm sure that that's all you, because you have 30 people with different styles, so you had to definitely shape everything to make it. And I think you mentioned, do you have to make changes to what they were sending you, or was it more so just kind of how you implemented them in the book?
no, absolutely. So, I mean, I've been in the solution space for over 14 years. So, I mean, was I shocked about some entries? Some entries were new learnings for myself, but there were a lot of entries that I could actually influence my experience and my expertise on, and basically say, nope, that doesn't go in here, or no, I'm not going to share this, or no, let's reward this way. There were some articles that were heavily influenced and redirected. When you talk about the style and the flow of the book, some entries could not go as standalone chapters. So I added the flavors of interviews, of stories in the book, converting an entire submission into an interview, because the format in which it came in will not communicate the message that is intended to be spread within the book. And it was very interesting because it was the first time I could see, first time in a long time, I could see the summation of my entire professional life come together. And what do I mean? Apart from delivering projects, I'm also a public speaker. I'm also a storyteller. I also love humor and drama. And in this book, you will see an element of humor, an element of sarcasm, the public speaking and the talk show. You see that in there. So suddenly, during the creation process, all these ideas of my experience, my life, my hobbies, all just came together in that book. And that's the creative process. Just letting the book flow through you. It was that kind of book that doesn't have to be so theoretical and so serious and so uptight. Just allowing, myself just let the book just flow. So that's what you saw when you went
For
through the
you.
pages of the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you said earlier that you had very strict, rigorous criteria of selection.
Yeah.
What were those, if you can share with
Okay.
us?
Yeah, I'll share two with you. I had a couple
Okay.
of entries that I had to watch out for plagiarism. Let me put it that way.
Mm,
So how do you test for plagiarism? How do you know it's plagiarism? I had a couple of entries that were thesis submission in their nature. So I had a few individuals that had given me text that they could not defend. A lot of entries that came through, like I mentioned before, I had validated and had a conversation with the individuals who submitted it. I also reviewed their profiles on LinkedIn to verify the expertise and I had to match the input versus where the input is coming from. And if I couldn't have a direct feel from their professional profile, I will have a one-on-one conversation with them on Zoom just to test
mhm,
and see, did this come from you? Can you defend this? Because that was super important. You have 30 people contributing, and one false article, one article that was copied from somewhere, it literally spoils the entire source. Like the entire book is compromised because of one
yeah.
article. So that was one thing that was done. We're also in the era of ChatGPT, and I had to have individuals on their own confirm to me that this was created and presented from them and by them. That was super important that they didn't sign anywhere, but at least they verified that, yep, this is my original content. Now, for individuals, we had two articles whereby those individuals were prominent bloggers. So they blog a lot and so on and so forth. I had to ensure that those individuals were okay with me restructuring their submission because their submission was something they had published somewhere, and I wasn't okay with utilizing a content that existed somewhere, even though it was their article in their blog and their page. So we had to totally reconstruct it entirely. So those processes, just to mention those, were to ensure that originality of the content was super important, and also the content was from the sources, because we're talking about mastering solution delivery. So I wanted the individuals to be masters of what they are sharing. We have articles on change management, human-centered learning, and so on and so forth. And it came from individuals who their profiles reflect the messages that they are sharing as well. So to those individuals who did not meet that selection process, they got a huge thank you and a huge not now with regards to their inputs, and they were really very chilled about it. I didn't have any instance where individuals were like, had a very negative response. They understood that they had to be a criteria, and if they didn't make the criteria, they also accepted it.
Was so the 30-day challenge was pretty much the writing component. By then, before the 30 days, you already have selected those who would be contributing, or was this all happening within the 30 days?
No, all within 30 days. So if I give you just a summary of the timeline, between the 1st of April to the 12th of April was when the articles had to come in. So the first submission came in. So I did the publication, my initial publication on March 23, saying, hey guys, I'm going to start this challenge from the 1st to the 30th. I expect the entries on the 1st. And then on the 30th, we're going to have a book. The cutoff for submission for the articles from individuals was the 12th. So obviously in parallel, as articles are coming in and reviewing, I have no idea where they're going to go. Somewhere here in my office, you have the whiteboard whereby I have different titles, different topics, and you start the process of mapping what goes in what aspect of the book. Now, one aspect in the call for submission that made it easy is because I gave a recommendation of potential topics that they could talk about, to say, hey, listen, these are, and interestingly, talking about communication prowess, some people thought that was the topics I wanted them to talk about. So for example, I had 2 articles on this particular topic, 3 articles on a very specific topic. And then the challenge is like, okay, fine, which one do I pick? Because I have people writing on the same topic because they felt that was the target. So that was also a challenge. But just, setting clear deadlines on submissions when the article should come in, giving them ideas of what they can think about, really helped, the process of receiving the submissions quickly. Yes, some articles came way after the deadline. I'll give an example of this gentleman in Senegal. He was on vacation with a family, and he's like, listen, Obi, I'm on vacation. I can't do anything right now. I am back on the 12th. I guarantee you I'm going to start writing, and on the 14th, you're going to have an article. And just hearing and feeling that emotion, feeling that desire to be a part of this project, from someone who you don't know, from Adam, you're like, you know what? Yes, I will wait for your entry. So you had those instances. And of course, you had the flip side whereby the moment I announced it, I had an article on that day. And that was momentum for me to believe that it's possible. I'm like, oh my goodness, wow, thank you, Thomas. So we had both sides of the spectrum when it came to the articles.
So what happened after the articles within the last, I guess, 2 weeks of the month, right?
No, it's a good point. So it was a project approach that was adopted. So you're thinking about a book, and for anyone out there who is watching this, either watching the recorded version, here's a quick hack on how to put together a book in 30 days. Step 1 is to know that it's possible. Step 2 is risk management. So a book is the content, the cover, and of course the publishing. When it came to the design and what resulted in this fantastic design that you can see here, I had 2 different designers working on concepts for a book. So of course I had an idea of what I thought the cover will be, but I engaged two graphic designers to start working on that because I had a very tight timeline and I couldn't accept failure or the risk of finishing the content and not having the book cover was a very massive risk in terms of the project. So you had the book covers being worked on, and then at the same time as the articles are coming in, I am reviewing at the same time, editing, working on in content references because it's an actual book and just having ideas around what goes where. Then majority of the work happens after all the books entries had come in because then you're thinking about, okay, fine, how do I make all of these sound together? So it's a comprehensive review all over again. What do I convert to interviews? What would interviews sound like? So on and so forth. And around the 20th, it goes to an editor, look out for grammatical errors and convert my 200-page book into a proper book format. And of course, there's some hiccups here and there because it was self-published. We utilized Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, and you have to ensure that the book content maps the cover design, and you have to make some tweaks here and there. You have to think about pricing, what pricing makes sense, how do you distribute, what is your strategy to distribute, so on and so forth. But that's literally, the journey. While all of that is going on, you are keeping your 30 contributors, engaged of the process. I'm a huge proponent, advocate for effective communication. If you have a project team, it's not about, hey, submit this article and thank you, goodbye. For me, it was keeping the excitement ongoing. It was, talking about, here's what is next. Here's how I reward you. Here's how I say thank you for being a part of the journey. So that also kept ongoing throughout the whole journey till the 30th.
Yeah, because that's a good point. Because technically, once they submitted the articles to you, and maybe you had those debrief sessions if needed, they didn't have any other. Did they have any other contributions to what was coming next, like to the editing part? No, that was pretty much you.
Oh no, there was literally just a submission, and it could have been a goodbye, but the only follow-up action was me keeping every individual abreast of the journey. One thing every contributor, you can't reward these individuals financially, but what they all had is they had their own individual book covers. For example, they also all had vouchers for a free copy for them to organize a promotional campaign with their network to say, hey guys, here's a quiz, here's an activity, the winner gets this. They were all avenues to promote the book, and that's how I kept them, engaged throughout the journey. So there was this, anticipation all through, everyone wondering, are we there yet? Can we be achieved? It didn't become an OB project anymore. It became our project, and I think it worked out just fine, to tell you the truth.
So what's next? I mean, are you guys planning on making a movie?
Yeah. Not a bad idea. Mastering solution delivery.
Yeah, that sounds like a movie, maybe not in 30 days, but that sounds like a good, to see the process from.
No, spot on. But the conversation of solution delivery is one that will not die in a book, or should not just be contained in a book, because the conversation of solution delivery is an endless conversation. Like literally, if you think about solution delivery, I mean, it's limitless. We're thinking about solution in the healthcare sector, in education, in aviation, like all around you in this space right now, setting up a recording studio. You need someone to do that. So we've extended the conversation. I've extended the conversation into a podcast, which is why I've set up my office space. I'm still working on the sound, the technicalities to get the sound right and to get the lighting right. But I want to speak with individuals about their experiences in delivering solutions, not just project-based solutions, but in everyday life. From the book, I realized the breadth and depth of solution delivery. I had a mindset, I had an expectation of what I thought I was going to receive from the entries. And I was thinking traditional concepts of project management and program management. I was thinking the usual, technical scope and manage your scope and ensure the timelines are well defined and so on and so forth. I was receiving articles around emotional intelligence, human-centered factors, the medical wheel and how that is important, psychological safety. And my goodness, I'm like, wow, there are different aspects to solution delivery that we need to pay attention to. And if I just got this from 30 people, who knows what else is out there? What else we haven't discovered? Are we tackling solution delivery? Are we tackling managing people through the right avenues, through the right protocols? So the conversation is ongoing with other professionals around the world. And I'm recording this, and we're going to have a podcast and articles around different ways of people getting things done globally. Now, with the 30 contributors, I'm also recording in a short podcast a summary of their contribution. Some contributors have already published their chapters of the book on their platforms. I give them go ahead to do that, just to share and continue the conversation on this phenomenal topic.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
are your contributors? I'm assuming that they're from different industries, like right? They're coming in with different backgrounds.
No, yeah, absolutely, and so diverse. We have people in the medical field. Um, we have individuals in politics. We have entrepreneurs, CEOs. In the book, it's just wow. The response that we got. We have retired individuals as well, and that's what makes the quality of the content beautiful. You have to appreciate the diversity in you know the human existence. One thing you talked about, what's next. I'm also looking forward to meeting the individuals in person. uh, I have only met the Dubai-based contributors. We have 3 Dubai-based contributors. So we had a book launch in Dubai, and we have an opportunity in September to also have a book launch at the PMI conference in Kenya. And I think I'll be meeting with, yes, I'm really looking forward to that, because I think we have 4 collaborators. The guys in Nigeria will be going to the PMI conference. Stella from Cameroon will also be at the conference. So looking forward to having all the guys on board. And who knows, we may have an Africa splash at some point this year. I think I would have the opportunity in being in North America. And who knows, we may have an America also launch, because we have major contributions from the States, from Canada. So I'm also looking forward, to the possibilities of meeting these individuals in person and, engaging their communities and sharing and having conversations on this topic.
Yeah. That actually I had I had that question to see if you were planning on meeting, on doing a meetup. It's probably difficult to get everybody together at once, but definitely these launches are really good, and yeah, you're always welcome to Canada.
No, absolutely. We had Aina from Canada. I think we had a couple of entries from Jana, also from Canada. So absolutely. I had a podcast, a conversation with Jana Andre, because she was talking about the medical wheel, and she was talking about the fact that a lot of times in solution delivery, we focus on the physical aspects of solution delivery, but there's the mental aspect, there's the emotional aspect. There are other aspects that we can have to pay attention to that are super important. And at some point, those KPIs, those numbers, those influences on projects are more significant than the physical attributes of the project that we pay attention to. And I'm selling the book also. It's such a powerful conversation that you need to go through. But when you talk about Canada, I would absolutely love to also, meet her in person, meet Aina in person, and just continue the conversation around this. So who knows, Canada at some point in 2024, maybe.
it's pretty amazing how all these people having all other engagements in their day-to-day lives, that's really proof of the fact that we really have things to say. And when given the opportunity to speak our minds, like in a book challenge, CEOs can make time to do that. It's
No,
it's impressive. I'm assuming that everybody had their own things to do, but then you came up with something that they really needed. So that was a good solution for them, I guess.
no,
What the solution delivery? Was that your objective from the very beginning? Did you change the topic based on the article? I of course that does have a theme, but
no, yeah, you're correct. No, mastering solution delivery was nowhere near my mind at all. In fact, the title I had at first was the projects we deserve. When I think about it, I'm like, wow. Peter Taylor talked about the project-less manager, which is because the pandemic has happened and I have no projects. So I was thinking also, now we have projects, but at some point, when you look at the fact that the conversation is not in the book, when I saw the entries that we had in front of me, and I realized that these topics are not for project managers alone. Like you mentioned, the topics we had are for everyday people. It's not a project management book per se. I could even call it a life hack. If you're in a workforce, you're an employee, you're a supervisor, you're a team member, or you're even reporting to individuals, it's a book for everyday people who are trying to get things done. It's a book on solutions, and it's a book about how did I overcome the hurdles. With every single topic, there was one consistent theme through it all. This is how I was able to deliver through the challenges when it came to learning remotely. This is how I was able to get it done. Through the challenges of working with my project teams, working with organizations, with leaders, this is how I got it done. So I knew delivery was at the center, going through a hurdle, going through the challenges of life and going through the challenges of the pandemic. So that's how the name of the book came through. How do I get things done? How do I master delivering? How do I master solution delivery? And that was a recurring theme all through the chapters of the book.
so the general theme was born by the content,
Absolutely.
the common thing that came up. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Everyone went through the same common experience, so at some point, finally, you'll find a common theme, and that was just getting things done. It could have been called the secret of getting things done, also, but yeah, who knows?
And in regards to you mentioned earlier about the next project, which is the podcast. Have you started those, or they're still
Yes.
in the?
I need to say you've done 18 episodes. Kudos to you, because my goodness, this is not an easy journey at all. I think I need a cue from you on mastering solution delivery in that space. I've had 2 episodes. I haven't published anyone, but we've recorded 2 episodes. And one episode, I finished the whole recording session. Recording finished. I press play, and I have no recording. I'm like, okay, how on earth did I get that wrong? Where are the people? Where are the individuals? And now I'm stuck between, do I engage and say, can we please do this again and record all over again? And it's just been a learning curve. Thankfully, we're working on audio, but yes, we had 2 sessions, and it's a journey I'm going to get better at. But those 2 recorded sessions, we're going to transcribe it, and at some point later this month, it's going to be rolled out on my website, on LinkedIn, Instagram. We'll do the whole publicity around mastering solution delivery, the conversation.
Okay. And for people who
Yeah.
are watching this, I mean, if you're taking any, I don't know, are you looking for your audience? I assume you're doing sort of, kind of like a scouting type of activity, or
Absolutely.
do you want people to reach out to you? Just thinking if there's anybody who's interested, or you find common grounds to talk about.
No, absolutely. And listen, this is very similar to the notion around the book. I think everyone has something to share around their space. Um, I can see you have my website on the page. Thanks for sharing that. As a contact us there, if you think or if you know that you have a story to share around what you're doing within your domain, please reach out to me. I would love to have a conversation with you. The conversation around solution delivery is not specific to a cadre of people. Ilinka was very kind to invite me to her show because I've seen the plethora of her guests. So it's open to speaking to individuals who are getting things done out there. And please reach out to me, and I'd love to schedule a session with you, and we can see how we can share your experiences and share your story. What is one thing that you will say is the secret behind 18 episodes? Because I'm just 2 episodes in, and I'm wondering how on earth did you do this? So if you can just share one thing, what would that be?
Just perseverance. Never. I guess don't stop. Keep just being. I think you're doing that already with as you did with the book. It's the secret of liking what you do, the passion, and believing in the project success. I think that's and when you do that, I think you have a very nice quote. I think on your website or somewhere I've seen it regarding when you shine a light. If you really believe in it, others will start doing the same. So I'm a true
Absolutely.
believer of that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that will be
It's a quote.
guests and audience are also very important because you can't have a show without them, right?
No,
So
yeah, absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
the technical part, or recording, I guess. Trust me, if we wouldn't be using this Airmeet platform, which has an automatic recording system, I probably would have missed some myself.
No, yeah.
But
I told you earlier on, it's a fantastic tool. I'd never even known about it, but definitely I'm going to be maximizing the functionalities in this tool. So that's one solution amongst many you've given me with regards to getting this done. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to, capitalizing on Airmeet. That's for sure.
and it's amazing. I mean, where everybody's looking forward to seeing the podcast when they come up. Will you roll them on? What are you using? YouTube would be your main channel.
Yes, YouTube will be the primary channel. I'm literally following your playbook, Ilinka, like step by step. That's what I'm doing all the way. So yeah, you're my guide. It's going to be on YouTube primarily, and of course snippets of it all across YouTube for the video, and of course the audio will be on all accessible streaming platforms. And then LinkedIn will have, of course, the bits and pieces of it. And then on LinkedIn, of course, will be the transcribed version for a blog format. So yeah, that's the whole idea behind the conversation.
And here's a question popping up from Indumati. What challenges did you face while developing the book?
Yeah, so challenges. No, yeah, it's a fantastic question, and thanks for asking that. Two, from both areas. I talked about the fact that I had one graphic designer totally did not show up, so I paid 2 graphic designers just to mitigate risk around the deadline, and I had given them a concept around that, and that was really could have been disappointing if I didn't have that option. So it was a challenge, of course, going through that process and going back and forth between 2 individuals, and of course finally narrowing down on one. But in the content itself, I know I'm really not trying to make it sound super difficult, but the review process was really challenging, in dissecting and saying this is what stays, this is what goes out. Kudos to 2 contributors who sent me. So the requirement was to say, send me 500 to 750 words. I had two individuals that sent me close to 2,300 words of text. If you go through the book, there's a chapter on the difference between the product owner, the project manager, and the scrum master. And I think that is a very important conversation to have, because organizations that are transiting into from the traditional practices and picking more adaptive practices are confusing this role. So I literally had a plethora of information around that, and it's to say, how exactly do I truncate this? How do we keep the essence of this? And then I had three people work together as one, sending me a conversation. Is everything okay? Sending me a conversation around what it means to be agile. Now, thankfully, of course, I'm agile certified. I've spent a lot of time in the software industry and agile practices, but it was also a challenge saying, okay, fine, there's this much information. How much information do I want in the book itself? And remember, this was done without going back to the individuals. When the submission came in, it was my problem to see how exactly do I ensure that that makes sense. And that was a challenge in itself, that whole review process. It wasn't really an easy one.
Surely there were. Thank you, Indy, for the question. What would you do if you were to do this all over again? And maybe we can. What would you do different?
Good point. Give myself more time, not 30 days for sure.
Okay.
I would enjoy
that.
I would enjoy the vacation and then do it after the vacation. That's for sure.
Are not on vacation.
If I were to do it all over again, the cliche is I wouldn't do anything different, but it's really true because the experience was really, really unique. I probably would have, when I think about the book, not about doing things different, I ask myself, what conversations do I think I would love to see in the book? There's so much that has been touched on, but when I really look back, I'm like, wow, but we don't even have conversations around governance. And solution delivery at some point has to sit in some kind of governance framework, and I'm like, wow, maybe it would have been nice to look for professionals in that domain. We don't have conversation around risk management, and the effective solution delivery is dependent on that. So maybe, in a sequel, I would have reached out from some more specific topics. But in terms of the entire journey, the entire experience, my goodness, I wouldn't change a thing, to be sincere.
That's awesome. Here's an idea, maybe a challenge. You can have a book writing boot camp where you get together and everybody just does it,
No, absolutely. And Ilinka, you need to know that is something, once I hear that, and I'm like, absolutely, and I buy into that, because here's what has happened since the book has come out. I have had conversations with multiple people who are like, Obi, I have been sitting on a book and I think it's time to get it done. And a friend of mine, Anastasia, scheduled, and we rescheduled this meeting. She got together 3 authors in Dubai, and we scheduled a book writing experience session to say, hey guys, if you want to publish a book, these are 3 self-published authors in the UAE. Show up and let's explain to you our journey. Because like I mentioned before, everybody has a book in them. And some people should share the books that they have in them. So why not? So from book writing camps, to mentoring, to coaching people, to let that out there. Absolutely. I'm all for that. And that's coming soon.
Good. Nice. That's a good way to end this. now you intrigued us so that we're gonna be on the lookout for what's coming next.
No, not yet.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think the world is, the solutions are endless, right? We just have to look up for them, and it's nice to see that. I love this doing these webinars because, well, it feels like in all of this technology that we're swimming in these days, people actually do like writing, and that's still a thing, and those books will be here forever, no matter if we are or not. It's
Correct.
it's nice to
No,
have be part of history.
no, yeah, I'm sure you've heard the statement. Three things to do before you die. They say, write a book, plant a tree, have a kid. I subscribe to two of them. I will not say which two, but I've written a book. But absolutely, and the book does so much in terms of. A friend of mine wrote a book called "Knowledge is the New Gold," and the whole idea behind her book is that we're in the era when the knowledge economy, that's the key thing right now. We have so much in us to share, skills, talents, and whatsoever. And one way of sharing that expertise is putting that book forward. And but what that book also does for you is that it goes ahead of you. So individuals are no longer having conversations just about you, but they're having conversations about your mind, about what you put out there. And then, it's one thing to have a CV, is one thing to have a book, and then you can have conferences, you're in the conversation, so on and so forth. So it does so much in terms of access, opening doors, and just presenting you even before you step out there. So I would encourage individuals absolutely to, to write that book. And hello to uh, Kanayiram. I think you're from Abu Dhabi. Hi from Dubai. I just saw that, I think, in the chat. So
Yeah,
Yalinka,
it's a
you have a global audience.
that's the aim. Well, the PMO leader community is a global community, so yeah, it's really nice. We thank you for today. It was a very nice conversation, and
No, yeah.
hopefully you will keep us in. We will hear back from all your next projects, and good luck with the podcast and everything else that you have planned. Also,
No,
enjoy
thank
some
you.
travel because
So,
it's well deserved, and as you can all see, it helps not only for your personal life but also for your professional life. It gives you introspect and insight and
correct.
a lot of valuable things. We will
No,
have.
absolutely.
Yeah, is there anything else that you want to? Because we have about 2 minutes until we're up to the hour. Is there anything else? Any inspirational or piece of advice that you would want to give to somebody who's kind of joining the journey of writing?
No, well, first of all, thank you for having me. And I can't even believe that 58 minutes went by just like that. So it's an absolute pleasure. And, there's a saying, my encouragement to individuals, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. Let's replace tree with your book. And the next best time is now. So let's do it.
Awesome. You hear that, everybody? We shall all start writing books. Or if not, of course, they will reach out to you for advice and mentorship. Yeah. Thank you, Obi. This was really good. It was a pleasure, and well, we hope you're always welcome in this show. We'll keep moving forward, and whenever there's something else that you want to talk about, you can touch base with me, and maybe we'll do this all over again. If
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really looking forward to doing this again. That's for sure. Thank you so much, Alinka.
And of course, all those authors, send them over.
Absolutely. That's for sure. That's for sure.
uh, for the audience, we are going to have, so the recording, as you all know, this is going to be available on the YouTube channel and also LinkedIn, and it's pretty much going to be available right after we close the session. So if you must be though a member of the PMO community to see the recording, and as you all know, that membership is free. So if if by any chance you're not a member, just go ahead and register. It takes a little time, and it gives you access to a lot of valuable resources. We have next month, we will have another webinar as usual, and then we will have a short break for the month of October because we have the very exciting Global PMO Leader Conference that we want everybody to focus on. So we're going to take a break with a book club for that time. But I will be there, and so many of us will be there at the conference, and we hope to see everybody there. So registrations are open. If anybody wants to be a speaker, a presenter, a sponsor, just go on the PMO Leader website, and you have all that information and the application forms there. And the organizing team, is working really hard to put a really nice event, marathonic event like last year. We're gonna go through all the regions, starting with Asia Pacific, going through then to the EMEA region, and then closing with the Americas. So it's gonna be a lot of 18 hours or so of continuous broadcast live. It's gonna be a journey. some call it following the sun. I think it sounds good. Of course, for those who will be up all night, they will be following the sun and the moon. But it's all worth it. And Obi, of course, hopefully you will have time between your events to join the conference.
Most definitely, that's for sure. I will follow the sun in that area, though. In that regards, I will follow the sun. Yeah.
I will follow both. I like the night too. Thank you one more time. Again, best of wishes in your projects, and we will hope to see you soon. And thank you to the audience as well.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Alinka.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a great day.